Welcome to Cape May Days, a podcast celebrating all the wonderful things in and around this amazing shore town. I'm Jane Gober, your host. I've called Cape May my happy place for a very long time. A few years ago, I started a successful blog, and I've decided to take it to the next level. I'm so glad you're joining me on this journey. Today's guests are Meg and Carl Messick, who are the owners of Grana BYOB restaurant on the corner of Perry and Broad, where Godmother's used to be, if you remember that from back in the day. So Meg and Carl, thank you so much for being with us. I greatly appreciate it. So I know there's a bit of sort of a backstory, some sort of history behind you opening up the restaurant. Would you share it with everybody?
Sure. So basically, I've been cooking my entire life. Always with the goal in mind to open my own restaurant, or now our own restaurant. When I was in Peter Shields for the last 12-ish years, they gave me the ability to run the restaurant like it were my own, which led us to a perfect opportunity here. That just kind of fell in our laps. The landlord reached out to us, and a couple mutual friends put us in contact with them, and then away we went.
So I think you have more culinary experience in Cape May than just Peter Shields.
Yeah.
So what other restaurants have you worked at? Have you cooked?
Yep, I was at the Everett Room for about 7 or 8 years. Right out of culinary school, I started there as an intern under Andy Carthy, and worked my way up to basically every position until I was the executive chef there. After that, I worked in Stone Harbor for 2 years, one with Chip Roman at Blackfish, and then the next year at the same spot, different restaurant name, White Heron Grill. And then from there, the mutual friend got me in contact with Peter Shields, and that's when that kind of went on from there.
And is that where you guys met? Did you meet at Peter Shields, or did you?
No, we actually met when Carl did his small time at in Stone Harbor. So it was actually my first restaurant job ever. He was a cook, I was a food runner, and we met and we became best friends and good friends. And then he left me to go to Peter Shields, and I was one of the only people left at the old building in Stone Harbor. So I had to kind of like bop around a little bit with my culinary with serving and with food running. And then I got back in touch with him, and he said, hey, come on over to Peter Shields. And then we were together at Peter Shields for quite a long time before we started dating. So it's a cool story to tell.
It is a cool story. It's very romantic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the name, what led you to come up with the name? It's very distinctive.
Yeah, so everybody asked that question 100 times probably a day. For me, it was, to me, a name and a concept kind of go with the building, wherever it might be. That kind of might not be the right way to go about it, but when we were looking at buildings and we were looking at different places, there was no set name and there was no set concept until we saw the actual building itself. And then once we saw this building and we kind of had our concepting together, what we're going to do, Grana Padano is a young Parmesan cheese that we've used for forever. We do finish all our house pastas with it. It's on our cheese board. That was kind of where we went with it. Obviously, we did that backwards. When we came up with the name, then we decided we're going to finish the pastas and the cheese with it. That's kind of where it came from.
Awesome. I know I've seen it several times on your menu and have enjoyed it on the pastas especially. So you both started this restaurant basically from scratch. Even though you had prior experience, you didn't start a restaurant. So what was that like? And what surprised you? Like, that was a huge undertaking.
Yeah. Well, we signed our lease in February. We signed our lease in February, and we opened 8 weeks later. So that was a very small window of time to do paint and to do some construction. Carl his guys in the back all worked with him at some point. We had people calling us from everywhere asking about jobs, asking if they could come and work for us. So he had the back pretty much set up. And then we just brought together this front of the house staff that at some point everyone has worked together in some capacity. So we were just very lucky to be able to bring together a staff that has worked together, and that's the only reason why we were so successful, honestly.
Well, I can say, being a customer, you may or may not know this, but your staff praise you guys. My dog's outside the door whining, so you may hear him too. So no worries. So I know that your staff, they praise you. The times that I've been there, it's like it feels very much like it was a family-run business, even though everyone's not technically family, which is one of the things that I personally feel when I walk in the door that makes me feel comfortable and like I really want to be here, because it just has that sort of warm, inclusive kind of ambiance and just feel. So I just wanted to say that. Your menu I know your menu changes seasonally, because you're very, very, it's very important to you to keep the items on a seasonal basis so that you're getting things as fresh as possible. What are some of your personal favorite things on the menu? And then, or what are some of the things that are fan favorites, should we say?
I think the crab salad's probably the fan favorite, and one of the things we've had on the menu pretty much all the time. It does come off sometimes in the wintertime. I might pull it off just for menu, space. But the crab salad is the first thing I ever created and put on a menu. So that seems to be, and that's been a hit for everybody since the Everett Room when I first did that there. So that's kind of traveled with me a little bit.
Toffee pudding.
Toffee pudding, something again from the Everett Room days. I would say the halibut for the springtime is popular for sure. The lobster orecchiette is one of the best selling pastas we probably have right now. We just put on for the spring. It's just lobster orecchiette, bacon, spinach, and a basil cream.
The octopus has never come off our menu.
Correct.
So we have a Spanish grilled octopus, as well as our pork tenderloin. Both of those items have never come off. So
Correct.
And the foie gras.
And the foie gras, which
I know
is one of James' husband's favorites.
Yeah. And my brother-in-law. They both love it.
And your brother,
So I also know from personal experience, having been there and brought someone that had a serious gluten issue, that you guys bend over backwards to make sure that if there's anything like that, any dietary restriction whatsoever, you're handling it and you're on top of it, and people can, be comforted that it's really being taken care of on the back end. Can you elaborate on some of the things that you do to ensure that your guests have, the meal that they need to have?
Yeah, so it starts with the front of the house. They ask the table if there's any allergies or things like that, and they just communicate it to us. And since we make everything to order, for the most part, we know where if use gluten, that's a easy one, or that's one that's very common. We don't use a lot of flour in what we do. When we thicken sauces, it's a natural reduction for the most part. But if we do use it, say in like a chowder, we'll just let the guests know, hey, there's certain things you can't have because there's nothing we can do about it. But if there's anything, it's probably about 90% of the menu we can alter or we can change. If there's a barley on something, we can swap it out. If there's any kind of switches we can do, we'll do. And like I said, about 95% of the time, we can get around certain allergies as long as the guest allows us, to do some minor changes, like kind of on the fly. And that's always been pretty important to me, because a lot of places you go, there's like a hard no, we're not going to sub anything, a hard, obviously when it comes to allergies, they're a little more lenient. But even today, I still hear this chef says no to everything, or this person says, this is how it is, take it or leave it. And that's not, the biggest thing is hospitality, and you're it's not about me. It's not about the cooks. It's what can we do for the guests to make them, feel welcome and enjoy their time here as well.
When it comes to allergies, it's been great. My dad's actually allergic to chocolate and peanuts, so I totally understand the allergy part. And we didn't for a long time have gluten-free pasta, and recently, over the last 6 months, we decided to have that as an option. So our guests are super happy about that. And then my mom is very basic. She likes her steak and potatoes, or her just plain scallops. So it's kind of backpacking off of the homey family feeling. Like my family, I know, really appreciates the substitutions and the changes that we make. So I know that our guests definitely appreciate that as well.
So speaking of pasta, your pastas are amazing. I've had many of them, even when I probably shouldn't have, because I had already ordered too much food. So tell us a little bit. I know you've got a lot of different shapes. What do you do? And I know it's all made in house, and you've got a machine that cranks it
Correct.
out. But tell us a little more about the pasta.
So it's a very simple process. It's just semolina flour and water. The extruder basically does all the work. We have, I think, 17 or 18 dyes so that means you can make 17 or 18 pastas. Company out of Pennsylvania, a friend of mine put us onto it, and I started it at Peter Shields a little bit. We got a machine there. Within the first year, we saw obviously the customers enjoyed it. And it's not your tradition. Some people hear pasta and they automatically think Italian or
Red sauce and
red sauce.
meatballs.
So it's not. That's our goal, is to make sure that, yes, obviously pasta is Italian, but the way we prepare it, there might be times where we'll have like a Wagyu bolognese or something like that, or we'll tippy toe around that, but we don't want to get, especially since we're in a building of godmothers that used to be there. I kind of made a mistake the first year of doing a mussel, like a take on Fra Diavolo with mussels, and that blew up, I think, because the people who were coming there expecting godmothers saw that and just started, ordering it left and right, and it was crazy. So we kind of do tiptoe around that a little bit. So it's like I said, it's a very simple process, just semolina flour and water. You mix it in, it mixes itself, like the machine mixes, and then you extrude it out, and you just make sure you got the dyes ready to go, and it cuts itself, and it's very simple process, basically.
Well, it may be simple, but it's incredibly delicious compared to
for sure.
getting something that's been sitting on a shelf forever.
Correct.
The fact that it's
Correct.
fresh and made with love, like you can really tell. I've had several of them, and I honestly couldn't tell you a favorite because they were all so gosh darn good. You know what else is good? Your desserts, which is always a problem for me because I can't choose, first of all, because I want them all, literally. And it's by that point, I've usually had so much, but I always make it through. I'm always able to do it. So can you tell us a little bit about all your desserts are homemade? And we talked about the taffy pudding. But what are some of the other things? I know what I've ordered. I just had lemon bar the other night, and it was so good.
Okay. Yeah. So we have a lemon bar with mixed berries. It's more like, we call it lemon bar because of the shape of it.
Oh, there you are.
She's back. So we do call it lemon bar because of the shape. It's just lemon juice. It's basically a lemon curd set with gelatin that I've done for a long time now. To me, every time I go out there, I do the same thing. I order too many apps. Usually when I go to a menu or a restaurant, I see the menu. There's so many apps I want, and then I'm kind of forced to get an entree. And then by that time, I'm super full. So I always said either ice cream, which I don't. Sometimes I get ice cream, but then you just want something light and refreshing, and that's where lemon bar comes into play. All our ice creams and sorbets are made in house. We do a waffle and ice cream, kind of like a little spin on, I guess it's just waffles and ice cream. So we make waffles in house. We cook them up, and then we vanilla ice cream and chocolate espresso.
That's a flavor that just came back. That was a fan favorite, and we stopped for a little bit. And this past weekend, I remember a specific table telling them that we had chocolate espresso ice cream, and they just went nuts. They were super excited about it.
And then we have creme brulee. This is a vanilla creme brulee, pretty standard, with some mixed berries. I think that's it.
Panna cotta.
Panna cotta. Yep.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, I've seen the waffles and ice cream go by to other tables.
Yeah,
I never felt like that was one that I could attempt to finish, and
yeah,
that's not
that's
something you can take home. But I
correct.
may, like, come and, like, knock on your door someday and
Yeah,
say, "I just want dessert. I just
We
want the
yeah,
have
waffles
actually
and
yeah,
had
ice
a
cream."
really great to go hit over the last couple years too, where
yeah.
if guests can't get in for a reservation or they just want something quick, we do offer a to go option, whether it be chef's tasting or a la carte. So if you ever want just dessert, do let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, I will definitely do that because I live super close. I could run over.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have a seat on our
Just sit on the bench.
benches
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
eat your ice
Yeah.
cream.
Exactly, exactly. So is there anything else anything I didn't touch on that you really want people to know?
Uh, Mother's Day brunch coming up.
We do have a Mother's Day brunch. I know Miss Jane loves a brunch. Mother's Day, we're running brunch from 10 to 3. And then we are also offering dinner service for Mother's Day as well. For Easter, we only did a brunch. We did not do a dinner service. So Mother's Day will have both options happening. We are reopening 7 days starting May 2nd. That's the plan. So we'll be open 7 days going into the summer season. We offer events. So if anybody is interested in having a baby shower, bridal shower, we do rehearsal dinners. We did our first wedding last summer. It was a full buyout of the building for a wedding. So we do offer that option. So if anybody is interested in hosting even just a birthday part, like a birthday event where it's a large party, we do offer a semi-private room. So that's an option for people as well.
Awesome. So what is the question I ask everybody is you've got a long history in Cape May, but what is your favorite thing about Cape May?
I love that it's becoming a more year-round place. I grew up in Cape May Courthouse, so I frequented Stone Harbor and Avalon. So I really didn't go down to Cape May until I started working at Peter Shields. But since working in Cape May and residing right outside of Cape May for a while, I love that Christmas parade is a wonderful time. When the fall season hits, it's beautiful, and even now when the springtime is coming up, all the spring flowers are blooming, and it just has become more of a year-round place for me instead of just a summertime um, vacation spot. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
For me, I think.
oh, go ahead.
No, that's
Go ahead,
okay. No,
Carl.
you go. I was just gonna say for
I
me
was
to
just
kind of piggyback off that, the restaurants, are staying open more. In the summertime we have a boat that sometimes we try to get on, so that's nice. I grew up down here fishing and all that kind of stuff, so it's nice to get out. But I think Christmas time is probably the best time in Cape May to me. Just you see everything decorated, and everybody puts so much effort into it, and it's kind of cool to see.
and also the Cape May is such like again talking about the family part. We've had such great neighbors moving into the neighborhood in 2022 in May that they've just been so great. Coming in as guests, being just checking in on us, asking if we need anything. We over the winter time had one of our awnings fell down, so we had somebody reach out that same day and said, "Hey, this is wrong. You might need somebody to go down there and fix it." 2 winters ago, we had our Circle G sign fell after a really bad windstorm. Obviously, on the coast, we're subject to that, so we have had people reach out about that. Not being on the island, not living on the island, it's just been great having that family community just really reaching out and watching over us. So it's been great.
Well, I have to agree with you both. When we very first started coming down here, and we got our house, it was like tumbleweeds in the streets in
Mhm.
October. We still came, but it was very quiet. And there's part of me that misses that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really has become a destination that people come to a good part of the year. And the Christmas time is just absolutely magical. And I love the parade.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It
And we're right
just
on the
feels like a
parade
little bit
route.
of Americana.
Yep.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
It just, if anybody listening has not watched the parade, come for the parade. It's just amazing. There's no words to describe it. It's just so fun, and everybody has a good time, and they're throwing candy to the kids, and it's just, you've got everything from fire trucks to golf carts to the Coast Guard. I mean, it's just everything there. It's just amazing. So yeah, I agree with you both. It's just such a special place.
Yeah.
So, well, I know that in the video version, I'm gonna put a link to your website, and I know that folks can make reservations on Resi. So whether they have the app or they use the website, that was how you would make reservations. So please, I encourage you all to give them a try if you haven't already. You won't be sorry, I guarantee. So thank you very much, guys, for joining us. And thank you, everybody out there, for being here. I greatly appreciate each and every one of you. And until next time, take care. Bye.
Thank you.